Hello, my name is Dale Gilmore, and I create videos for the Arizona Revival History channel on YouTube. I am putting out a request for the public's help with this channel. The Arizona Revival History channel exists to give glory to Jesus Christ for the moves of His Holy Spirit in Arizona. Although Arizona is a relative newcomer to statehood in the United States, being given statehood in 1912, we all know there is a rich heritage of life lived in these lands. From First Nations people to the Spanish-Mexican settlers to Europeans and other settlers traveling west, we know that much of Arizona history even predates the founding of the 13 colonies in the East. What I am interested in this channel are stories of the gospel coming into Arizona, coming into this state. And the introduction of that gospel often is accompanied by signs and wonders, by moves of the Holy Spirit in unusual ways. I believe that many of you watching today might have materials. You might have Bibles, diaries of some of your ancestors that experienced revival, or of a move of God's Spirit in the past. These are the stories I'm looking for. Now let me be a little bit more specific. First of all, I would love to hear stories of how the gospel of Jesus entered First Nations tribes. Within the state of Arizona, there are so many wonderful First Nation tribes, and I know the gospel has penetrated many of them, and that there are many solid, good churches on many of the reservations in the state. And so we'd like to know, how did the church start? Who was the missionary that brought the gospel and started the church? Whereas the gospel accompanied by supernatural signs and wonders when it was started. Now, granted, maybe the church today is not as healthy as it was when it was first started, but we still want to know the history of that church. It's important to know and hear that story. The second thing I'm looking for are impactful camp meetings and special meetings in small towns throughout Arizona. We know the Azusa Street Revival impacted the whole United States back in 1906. Well, that was followed in the 1940s and 50s by what we call the healing revivals across the United States. Oral Roberts, A.A. Allen, Jack Coe, William Branham, Paul Cain, many others began holding tent meetings, and preaching and healing became the cornerstone of those meetings. In addition, hundreds of lesser-known evangelists and healers began holding meetings up and down across the United States as well. Now that was followed some years later by what we call the Jesus People revival of the 1970s and the 1980s. And that revival impacted cities and regions up and down Arizona. Now, you may have only a small fragment of some information about a past move of God, but I'd like to hear from you. I love doing research based on the little information that you might have. If your church was started during the Jesus People revival or any of the past revivals, contact me. I'd like to hear the stories surrounding it. The third thing I'm looking for are persons of significance who came to faith in Jesus Christ in Arizona. Now, we are not looking for Christian superstars, but it really does inspire people when they know the details of a conversion to Jesus Christ from someone that they recognize. I recently did a story on this channel on the conversion of rock legend Bob Dylan. And the responses we received on that online were very interesting. He received Jesus and had an encounter with Jesus in a hotel room in Tucson, Arizona. Now, there may be others who you know of who have testimonies about their conversion to Jesus Christ here in Arizona that is noteworthy and interesting. And if you do, contact me. The fourth and the last area that I'm really interested in is Christian organizations or businesses that were birthed in Arizona. If the organization that you work for or the business that you own or are employed by was started with the vision to impact the state with the gospel of Jesus Christ, people are interested in that type of story. I'm interested in businesses that are more unique to Arizona and not so much to those that are nationwide organizations or businesses. So, if you are a carrier, you think maybe of a story of significance historically here in Arizona, would you contact me? I'd encourage you to check old Bibles, diaries, other written documents that from your parents or maybe grandparents. Sometimes comments were written in the front and back of Bibles about events that happened in earlier years. I can be reached at Arizona Revival History at gmail.com, and that is Arizona Revival History at gmail.com. Leave your name and a phone number, and I will get back to you. My wife and I want to go around the state and do stories of how God impacted Arizona with the gospel. The reason for this is that God is going to be doing another revival across the United States, and he's going to be impacting Arizona once again with his Holy Spirit. And so it's important to know these stories because these movements in history are related to each other. Well, thank you for watching today. Again, my name is Dale Gilmore, and I'm with the Arizona Revival History Channel. If you are not a subscriber to this channel, I'd encourage you to subscribe with the button below. There's absolutely no obligation. Subscribing only means that you'll be one of the first people to know when a new video is produced on the channel. So, may God bless you richly and thank you for watching, and thank you for your help in this whole project.